David, I'm so happy to have our next guest here. This is such an inspiring woman. She has used pain of her own to help others through their darkest days. She is a podcast host, a motivational speaker, just gave her first TED Talk. Jess Patz is joining us here in studio. I thank you so much for coming in.
Thank you so much for having me.
People might recognize her too. Jasmine did a beautiful story on you for our news not that long ago even. And I met you through our HEAL conference that was at the end of January. She was one of our fabulous speakers. And I would love for you quickly to just explain to us how you got to where you are now. You went through a lot to be where you are today, and you're so inspiring.
Oh my gosh. Well, first of all, thank you so much for the kind words. It has been a journey, and I say it kind of happened accidentally on purpose at the end. When I was fresh out of high school, I found myself in a pretty awful relationship that turned into an abusive marriage, which thankfully I had the strength and opportunity and guidance to be able to leave. But it's not as simple as people think it is. So the leaving part turned into about a 10-year battle in courts back and forth, and it put my body through things that I wasn't aware of at the time. So even though our life had moved on and I was growing and healing and my kids were growing and healing, I had all of these like weird medical occurrences that we couldn't make sense of. And it wasn't until in the past couple of years when I met my now husband, who's phenomenal, and my body could kind of relax into regulation and happiness, that it just exploded in my face. And that led to a lupus diagnosis, which then led to complications that caused a stroke, and I had to relearn how to walk and kind of move the right side of my body.
We have some video of you, and it's hard to imagine that it was at the end of 2024 when this happened, right?
Yes.
When you had your stroke. You physically had to teach yourself to walk again.
Yeah, it wasn't on my bingo card for that year, and my therapy team, I give them every single ounce of the credit because I wouldn't have even known what that looked like, how to push, when to push, what to do without their guidance. And for me personally, Jesus just walked with me through that journey every single step of the way. And I didn't obsess over why this was happening. There were moments that were low because as a mom and as a speaker then, my speech was affected, my memory recall, not really knowing if I was going to have the ability to stand on a stage physically and deliver a message again was frightening. However, I couldn't change the circumstances, so I just chose to really give into the process and make the best of it, and we ended up having a really fun time.
Is this with your son?
Yes.
She tackled her son, and this was the cutest video. It made me bawl. You have to follow her on social media after all of this. I want to make sure I get to where you are now, and if we have time, I want to go back to some of those great videos. You have become this amazing motivational speaker. You just gave a TED Talk.
Yes.
Are you still pinching yourself?
Completely. It feels surreal to say out loud and to acknowledge that I gave a TED Talk. I get to be a TEDx speaker for like the rest of my life. It just doesn't even seem possible.
We have some pictures of it too. Can we pull up the pictures that we have too? We have some great pictures of her giving her speeches. There's also one of your, we had to add this in, of your current husband, Kevin.
He's awesome.
Who really, I feel like
He's my everything.
Yeah,
and
can't
he's
even imagine.
Really easy to look at, so that's a bonus.
But having that support system enabled you to get where you are on that stage right there in that shot.
Absolutely. Because this involved the TEDx talk. I had to leave my family, and it was in Tennessee, in this adorable town, Franklin, Tennessee, just outside of Nashville. The sweetest people, the warmest welcome. But I couldn't have been there. Giving a TEDx presentation is different than giving a traditional talk, so I had to be completely present. And I couldn't have done that if I didn't have my husband back home, making sure the house was taken care of and the kids were fine and I didn't have to worry about any of it.
Well, here's the thing. She did that TED Talk, but she is open to being the best motivational speaker for you. If you ever would want to book her to do something like that, I would highly recommend it. I got to watch her in person. I know we only have 4 minutes for this, but we had 30 minutes when we had you at our conference, and it was 30 minutes of the best speaking I have ever heard. She's so inspiring, and it reminds you that anything that you go through in life, there's always a light at the end of the tunnel, and you can always make good of it, and you've done that. Follow her on Instagram. There she is on Instagram, _Jess Patz, and she has a link to her website on her Instagram.
Yes.
So that you can find more about her speaking engagements there too. Thank you so much for coming.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for being the motivation that you are. People needed to hear that today.
Thank you.